Well, 2018 is drawing to a close, thank God. It's once again time to sit down and talk about the best films that were released this year. These are factual choices, actual, real, scientifically proven choices. There is no opinion here. I am absolutely right, and there is nothing you can say about it. Jokes aside, 2018 was a rough year for movies. There were a lot of great films, don't get me wrong. It's just that the majority of the films that I was really excited to see were very disappointing. This was the first year ever that I didn't give my highest grade. No new release got an A plus this year, and that's kind of sad. That being said, there were actually quite a few really good movies when I sat down and really thought about it, and especially because I was able to get my hands on some screeners for certain films, because this is the very first year that I've ever actually gotten screeners, which is such big help. It's really, really helped me in regards to, seeing some of these smaller films, because here in Ohio, I don't get a lot of those until way later. One of those being If Beale Street Could Talk, which is my first honorable mention. Other honorable mentions include Creed 2, Love, Simon, Black Klansman, Incredibles 2, A Quiet Place, Searching, Won't You Be My Neighbor, The Night Is Short, Walk On Girl, Roma, and Eighth Grade. All of those movies are great, and I recommend checking out all of them. The fact that they're not on the list is just because there were 10 others I liked more, which is, I think, obvious, but I know how the internet works. The fact that this is just a list with numbers is because everybody else does that. If I just listed off a bunch of movies I loved, it wouldn't really be that exciting. It's a lot more exciting when there's numbers. Burning is a South Korean film that I gratefully got a screener for because I wouldn't have been able to see it otherwise. I thought this movie was insanely good. It's a drama thriller, and it sort of reveals itself to be a thriller. Like, you start watching it and it almost comes off at first, because I knew nothing about the movie. Didn't know the plot, nothing about it. Not the synopsis, nothing. It almost comes off like a romantic drama for a while, but it slowly reveals itself to have these really dark, terrible things going on under the surface, and it's fascinating. It's extremely well helmed and very well acted. I highly recommend checking it out when it comes to a theater near you or is released on VOD, because it's one of the best, probably my favorite foreign, it's my favorite foreign film of 2018. At number 9, Paddington 2. This movie was great. I mean, I was talking to somebody on Facebook recently, a buddy of mine, and I mentioned how much I love Paddington 2, and he was like, "Really?" I was like, "Dude, just go watch it. It's really, really fucking good." It's a great children's film, one of the best family movies I've seen in recent years. And I couldn't really fault the movie. It was really hard to fault the movie. It was just enjoyable from scene one, and I really hope they make a third. Because in regards to family entertainment, like especially live action family entertainment, this is one of the best I've really ever seen. At number 8, everyone's favorite Oscar pick, A Star is Born. Performances off the charts. Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, Sam Elliott, who is my pick for Best Supporting Actor, and I think should definitely get a lot more attention for that. Insane, one of his best ever. And that guy's a legend. He was in Roadhouse, for God's sakes. At number 7, Avengers Infinity War, a movie that I thought was good when I first saw it. I liked it a lot. And with subsequent viewings, I love the movie now. I think it's a really well-made superhero film. It's really easy to look at films like this and discredit them because they're popular and they're about superheroes. I mean, it's been that way since I was a kid. If you liked superheroes when you were a kid, you didn't have any friends at school. It's a little different now, but it's really easy to discredit the amount of work that actually went into this movie that most people, myself included, can't even comprehend just from a visual effects perspective. It's genuinely stunning and one of the best Marvel movies. At number 6, Green Book, another film that I got a screener for, and I was very grateful for that because it took a while to come to Ohio. Films that deal with this subject matter but take a crowd-pleasing approach or a more fun, lighthearted approach are often looked down upon, especially in the press nowadays. And I think that that's a bad thing. I think that movies that are a little more digestible and easier to watch for mainstream audiences that deal with this type of subject matter could potentially result in some good, because some of the darker films others just don't even want to see. But a film like this that you can watch and be entertained by with two incredible performances, both Oscar worthy, from Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali. I think a film like this could really do some good. Yeah, there's some scenes that people don't appreciate, and I can understand that, but I just found the craft to be really well done, the writing to be just extremely hilarious, the music also really good, and for someone as popular as Viggo Mortensen is, who's done everything really, to have a role like this at this point in his career, that's pretty impressive. At number 5, probably the most surprising movie of the year for me, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. I have been a lifelong fan of Spider-Man, and he's probably my favorite superhero. So to see an animated film done this well, with so much care, with such a unique visual look to it, and a story that we have not yet seen in the Spider-Man films, was just such a blessing, to be honest, for this comic book fan. At number 4, Blindspotting, probably the most overlooked film of the year. This movie I thought was genius. One of my favorite screenplays of the year. Hilarious, subversive, takes, similar to Green Book, some very intense and horrific subject matter, and it found a way to weave some very real, biting, satirical comedy into it. And I thought it was just so well done. The final rap song, maybe my favorite scene of the year. There are other movies, obviously, that I liked more, but in regards to singular scenes and moments in movies, the final rap song in this movie is just insane. At number 3, Annihilation, a film that was very polarizing for some audiences, but for me and my friend group that went and saw the movie, we were just enthralled by it. And it's one of those sci-fi movies that I love. I love films like this, or Under the Skin, that just feel like they're on a different level, some different form of filmmaking that other movies, they just don't even try or attempt because they're too afraid. This film wasn't afraid. It was a really ballsy sci-fi movie with great performances, incredible special effects, and some of my favorite sequences of the whole year. At number 2, the best action film I've seen since Mad Max Fury Road, Mission Impossible Fallout. I've been a fan of this series since the 90s, and I've been pulling for this series since then. It's a series filled with incredible sequels. I mean, 2 was really the only one I didn't like, but 3 was much better than 2. 4 was much better than 3. 5 is great. Don't love it as much as 4. But 6, it's the best in the whole lot. It's one of the best sequels ever made. It's one of the best action movies ever made. It's probably, yeah, it's got to be the best 6th movie in a franchise ever, and no, Return of the Jedi doesn't count. This film gave me everything I wanted as an action fan. It had real stunts. It had helicopters flying through mountains. It had Tom Cruise in like the best running shot ever. My friend John Flickinger, he likes to fuck with me. When we were in the theater sitting together, this great 360 panning shot that ends with him jumping when he broke his ankle, I actually said out loud, "Oh Jesus." Like, it just gave me everything I wanted as a gigantic Mission Impossible fan. And I might be biased, but I just genuinely think this is one of the best action movies in maybe 5, 6, 7 years. It's just so good. But it didn't reach me on an emotional level. Like, I appreciated its technical presentation so much, and I respect it so much because I know how hard it is to make a tiny little movie for like a couple $100. Like, when I see a film like this, I have to respect it, and it's so goddamn entertaining. But it didn't reach me on an emotional level the way my number 1 pick did. And my favorite film of 2018 was Hereditary. Hereditary, like The Witch, It Comes at Night, The Babadook, it was a very polarizing film for audiences. Critics loved it, everybody was excited about it, but it's not a mainstream movie like A Quiet Place. It's not a movie that everybody can go to and enjoy. It's sometimes a very uncomfortable film. It kind of makes you cringe a little bit in a good way. Like you're sitting back like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this sort of intricate display of a family breaking down, and it's uncomfortable, and it makes people feel like they don't enjoy what they're seeing. I thought this movie was an incredible horror film, all the more amazing because it's a first-time feature for director Ari Aster, who I can't wait to see what else he does. Toni Collette, I believe, deserves an Oscar nomination. Everyone in the movie was just insanely good. One of the best directed horror films I've really ever seen, and I loved everything about it. There were just a few pacing issues I had that kept it from getting the perfect A+ grade, but in regards to horror movies, this is the exact type of film that I would like to make if I was given the opportunity or if I had the chance or the budget. I loved it, and I highly recommend it if you didn't get to see it when it was out in the theaters. Guys, those are my favorite movies of 2018. I'm looking forward to a 2019. This is actually the first year in history where I'm actually really excited for January. I got the Dragon Ball Super movie, which could go both ways, who knows. But then Glass. Oh my God, Glass is in January. So I'm actually looking forward to January for once. I also want to briefly talk about one very important thing, and that is the worst of the year video. I've done one every year. But I'm going to be really honest and transparent with you guys because I believe that you would prefer that. I haven't really enjoyed doing that video the past couple years. And it just, I think it has something to do with the fact that there's already so much negativity on the internet and so much complaining constantly and all this like fake screaming and anger about movies. It's like, in reality, the filmmaker has the hard job. The filmmaker spends a year, 2 years of his or her life trying to make something, and we only have to sit there for like 90 minutes. And yeah, it might suck. And trust me, I've seen a lot of shitty movies, okay? And I've always been very honest about how I feel, and I will continue to be honest about how I feel. But it just doesn't feel like me, man. It doesn't feel like me when I sit there and I complain and I talk about how much I hated all these movies. If you guys watch my channel this year, you know which movies I hated. You can go to my F playlist. And if you listen to the audio commentary I recently posted on my channel, then you know what my pick for the least favorite film of 2018 is. But I just don't want to make the worst of videos anymore. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know. It might have something to do with film school, being in film school now, or just the fact that over the past 2 years I've been making like an actual professional short film with a real crew every year and then trying to release it to festivals. But in reality, since I started my channel, I'm trying to keep this brief. Since I started my channel, my whole thing has been support film makers. Technically, yeah, I'm reviewing movies and I'm a member of the BFCA and I'm a film critic and all that. But I was a filmmaker when I was a kid, making shitty amateur movies with a VHS cam thing with my friends. That's where my brain's really at. And so I've always wanted to support filmmakers. And so, I don't know. I just don't really feel like making the worst of list. I could make one. I could make a video. It would get probably over 1 million hits. And it would probably give me a lot of monetization. And I'd make more money off of seeing other people's bad movies and then talking about them a second time. I just don't really want to do that. It just makes me feel kind of icky. And that's the honest truth. And I hope you guys are okay with that. Nevertheless, I do want to genuinely thank you so much for watching my channel this year. The pre-1970s series, anime reviews, movie reviews, just tons of fun stuff, supporting me, the whole Defy Media thing, and all the great comments I got from that. Thank you so much. Everybody on Patreon, you guys are the best. Seriously, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to more coming in 2019. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.